next, and the next topic will be elements in floorball game analysis. And Miikka is postdoctoral researcher of Tampere University. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Oskari. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm a researcher in Tampere University of Technology, but I'm also coaching in Salibändi Club Classic and also in the Finland men's under 23 national team as well. What I mean by saying that it's great to be here is that this year I'm present here. Last year I also gave a presentation in this World Summit, but this year when I'm here, I'm able to see all your expressions and see if you are able to learn anything new from this presentation. And why that's important and how that relates to my presentation, elements in floorball game analysis, is that having presentation online, when you see only your own screen, you don't see audience at all, is pretty much as coaching the floorball without knowing the game analysis. Because when I'm giving the presentation online, I can see only my own screen. I don't know, and I don't see any of your expressions. I might know afterwards that, yeah, maybe it went quite good, I didn't freeze or anything like that, but I don't know your expressions and if you learn anything. And it's pretty close to that coaching without knowing or doing the proper floorball game analysis, that you know what actually works in the game and what not. Okay. So it's a bit tricky one here. Here is also another metaphor for this coaching or playing floorball without knowing the game analysis or doing it. You might know what works in the game. You probably know all the big things that, yeah, you should attack here and shoot there and something like that. But you can't know for sure. The picture might not be clear or at least crystal clear for you. And with help of research and studying the game, of course, it can be done in many ways. In here, it has been done using the analytics and statistics. But we get to know better what actually works and especially find the small differences between the options. For example, where to lose the ball. Is it better to just mispass it or shot to the block or even pass the goal or anything like that? I will return to this later in this presentation, and you can see there is not too big differences in this, but the small details or small difference might be enough, and that might decide if the game is won or not. Okay, so the elements in the floorball game analysis, what I have been done in a collaboration with Finnish Floorball Federation, and by analyzing the 6-team international games last autumn from these top 4 teams in their EFT tournament and the World Cup as well. Also some practice matches between Finland and Sweden as well. We divided these findings to 4 different categories based on the phases of the game. So first one is attacking. I'm going to return to this topic later in this presentation. The other one is defending. These are pretty common as well. I will also return to this in the later part of this presentation. Then we have these transitions or counterattacks. One is negative transitions. So the situation when we lose the ball and the other team is going to get or at least might get option to counterattack. And example here, for example, what is the situation for this negative transition and what is the end result? And we asked this also from the coaches a couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago, from the professional coaches in Finland, what they think would be good or least bad option to lose the ball. And many of them said that misplaced pass is the most dangerous way of losing the ball, because that's pretty common idea that it gives a pretty dangerous option for counterattack by misplacing the pass. But based on this analytics and data, it turned out that the most dangerous way of losing the ball is the loss of possession. So after, for example, one-on-one duel or something like that, you lose the ball, and in that starting situation, the opponent gets to start their counterattack. So in those cases, which were like 301 in this data set, 21.3% of the situations ended up that shot for the counterattacking team. So there were like around 20%, 21.3% of times these counterattacks led to a shot for the counterattacking team. And comparing to these misplaced passes, which coaches thought that might be the most dangerous way of losing the ball, only 17.2% of the times the situation ended to the shot for the counterattacking team. So there are differences not too big, but in this scale, there is still like 4% of change, and that might be something to think when you're coaching, that if you're like encouraging your players to just not to lose the ball, or just try the bit harder pass, if, for example. Of course, there are situations. Here is all misplaced passes. There are different types of misplaced passes. There are, of course, more dangerous passes than the others, and there's options for more dangerous counterattacks as well in those passes. But this is still something pretty interesting finding from this analysis. Okay, and the last one of these 4 phases of the game is the positive transitions. So the counterattacks that we get for our own team. And here we tried to analyze and find which one of these first actions happening right after we get the ball is the best or leads the best result of that counterattack. So the options were like the first player who got the ball, he could do a short pass, long pass, or move with the ball, and maybe 10 pass, or depending on the situation. But he started to move with the ball. And as you can see, the short pass was the most common way of these options, but only 15.6% ended up shot for a shot. And for the long pass, the percentage improved a lot. 20.4% of the shot of the counterattacks ended up as a result a shot. And when the player started moving with the ball and then did something with the ball, the result was 24.8% of times a shot. So you can see there's quite significant difference between these 3. Of course, it all depends on the situation and which one of these is the best situation. But it looks like, at least, that if you're able to move with the ball and you have like space to go, free space to go, you should probably do it. Okay, about the attacking. Here is one interesting result from this analysis. It's a goal scoring effectiveness. And here we have compared these top 4 teams, national teams, based on this scoring effectiveness, based on shooting percentages. So Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, and Czech, from last autumn international games between these 4 countries. And as you can see, the shooting percentage, which is like counter from the saving percentage, is that Finland was able to, all of their shots on goal, 27% of them went in. For Sweden, 20%, Switzerland 18%, and Czech 22%. So you can see Finland was by far the best team at shooting. Their shooters were best, and they got 27% of the shots on goal went actually to the goal. And as you can see, the Switzerland is the bottom here, only with 18% of the shots going into the goal. And there is quite big difference here. Might be one result or reason why they had difficulties, for example, winning that semi-final game in the World Games against Sweden. They were controlling the ball and the game as well, but they weren't able to score the goal. And this might be one result because their shooting percentage is not that good. And it might be, of course, there is only like 6 or 8 games between this team in this data set. So it could be something else, but it could also indicate, at least if I would be the coach of Team Switzerland, I would look our players that if they are not that good at shooting, and maybe that could be something to focus in the future. But what about save percentage? Finland 83, Sweden goalie 74, or goalies together. Switzerland 62 and Czechs 89, pretty good for the Czechs. So here is the saving percentages for each of these teams in the matches together. And as you can see, the Switzerland once again is the bottom of the 4, and actually in quite large margin even for the Sweden. There is like 12% of difference between these two teams, and over 20% is to Finland, and even more for the Czechs. So it might be pretty difficult to win the games if your shooting percentage is very low and your saving percentage is also very low. We could also sum these, like shooting percentage plus saving percentage, and combine those two as sum and see what is the like expectation for these two and how these two perform together. And as we can see, the Finland and Czechs are leading. They are above 100, quite large margin as well. And once again, the Switzerland especially is very low, and this also sums up that it's very difficult to score if your shooting percentage and also the saving percentage is very low. But what is the reason behind this? What is the ability of these 4 teams to create shots from organized attacks? So how many percentage of these organized attacks end up a shot? It doesn't have to go on goal, but it was a shot. So we can see that it's pretty even between Finland and Sweden, or it's actually even between Finland and Sweden, and pretty close to Switzerland, who is leading this section. And for the Czechs, they are a bit behind on this. So maybe we could say that Switzerland is the best one, creating opportunities. Maybe not that quality opportunity, but at least some level of opportunities. Best team to create the good scoring chance from this organized attack. And Czechs might need to do something to improve this to get to the level of the other players or other teams. But we can see that for the Switzerland, it's not the problem here to be able to create the shot from organized attacks. It might be something else. And here is also the probability to get shot towards a goal. So all the shots taken and how many percentage of those goes towards goal. So is a goal or is saved by the goalie. And as we can see here, actually the Switzerland is best of those teams to get the shot on goal. So they are actually pretty good on creating those scoring chances and then get the shots on goal. But still their shooting percentage is not that good. So it might be actually the actual quality of shots or quality of players taking the shots. It might be, for example, that the best shooting options goes to the players that are not the best shooters in the teams. And for example, in Finland, it might be otherwise around. That only the best players take the majority of the shots. Okay. For the last topic is the defending side. And we decided to take here the initiative for checking, which means that the forechecking team is the active in that it gives the pressure to the opening team, attacking team, that they need to do something with the ball or otherwise they'll lose it. They make them open the game and start playing with the ball. They can push it with the 1 player, 2 player, whatever, but it's that the main thing is that they are initiative in their forechecking. Okay, how did the game end up after this initiative forechecking? Here you can see the 4 options for what could have happened in the initiative forechecking. The first option is the shot for the attacking team. They were able to came out of the pressure and get the shot. The second one is that the ball possession stays with the attacking team. They don't lose the ball, but they don't get the shot. The third one is the ball possession for the forechecking team. So the other team is able to get the ball. Team that is initiative in the forechecking. The fourth one is the shot for the forechecking team. So not just that they get the ball, but they are also able to get the shot to the other goal. And the last one is the forechecking team. Yeah, they get the ball, but they also lose it immediately or right after that, which also creates like counter attacks. And here you can also see how many times this happened, and what is the also the percentage of these 5 options. And as you can see, the most common option or the result is that the ball possession stays with the attacking team, which is 27% of the times. And if you combine that with the first one, shot for the attacking team, you see that the 52% of the times the ball stays with the attacking team, and 48% times the forechecking team gets the ball. So is this good or bad? It might be good or it might be bad. This doesn't tell enough, I think. 48% doesn't say too much, and the shot for the attacking team is better than shot for the forechecking team as a result. But what is interesting, this is from the international games, and from the F-Liga games, it actually goes in other way around. In F-Liga, the forechecking teams was able to get to the ball like 58% of the time. So they get ball much more than in the international games. So there might be something. It might be not that bad, actually. Of course, currently, most of the teams are initiative in the forechecking when they are losing, like in the third period. But of course, some teams, some players, some lines can be also active in the early in the game as well. And compared to the waiting type of forechecking, these are like in this data set like 300 times where the other team initiative, and when they were waiting, it was like 1,200 times. So it was like 4 times more often the team is waiting and not initiative. You might also have recognized this when watching the international games. It's quite common that the other team is just playing the ball in their own field and maybe not even trying to attack, and the game is quite slow paced and maybe even boring for the spectators to see that the defenders are passing the ball with each other. Okay. But how to make this analysis, all these 4 dimensions and many others that we have found in the doing the analysis, is that we need to use the data. And I'll give you an example how our under 20 national team used this data, and especially this initiative forechecking, because we got this as one of our goals for this summer. We had like 4 events, and this was on our goal, or one of our goals in each of these games we played this summer, and what was the result in there. But to give you an example, what is this initiative forechecking? Once more, here is one of our best executions of this against Sweden development team in this Valmiera tournament a couple of weeks ago. I go this through like twice. Okay, once more. Okay. Yeah, here you can see our actually our wingers are very active here, doing the initiatives. First the right winger, then the left, and then the right one again, and then we were able to push the Sweden team to their own end of the field and also get the ball and actually create pretty good scoring option. We didn't have like any specific way of doing this. The Lions were able to create the best way for them to do this. But here you can see that we tried to be active and initiative as well. So how did it go? Yes, now it works. So here is the data that we collected from our games this spring. It starts here on the left side when we played the first time against Finland men's team 3 times in a row, three following days. Then we got one game against Germany, and then also Switzerland under 23 team. And then we have this last 3 games in Valmiera tournament where we played against Sweden under 23, Switzerland under 23, and Latvian men's team. And here you can see the numbers, and that for example in the first game we were like 19 times active in that game or initiative in the forechecking. In the second game 14 times and so on. So we were pretty initiative in all of these games except for the Sweden team, or we were actually in those one as well, but more about that on later on. But we were pretty good and succeeded well in our first goal, that to be just to be initiative in the games. But what is our success in these games? The green color in the below is that we get the ball. So for example, in the first game we got the ball in 53% of the times. And the second one, the orange color, is that the ball remains with the opponent team, attacking team. In the first game it was 37% of the time. And the red color is how many percentages the opponent team was able to get a shot. So they got away from our pressure and were able to get the shot. And as you can see, almost all the games we are pretty good getting the ball, except the second game against the Finland and second game in Latvia against the Switzerland under 23 team. In those games, the opponent was able to get the shot on around 45% of the times, which is not very good, and we needed to react on that even during the game. But in the other games, we were pretty good shape, I think. But one might still consider that it might be tricky or even too brave to be initiative early in the game because it's higher stakes and higher risk, maybe higher reward as well. But here is the comparison between initiative and waiting for checking. So here up you can see from our team perspective, under 23 was initiative in the first game against Finland men. We are 53% of times able to get the ball, 37% of time they were able to keep the ball, and 11% of time they were able to get the shot. So 53% we get the ball. Might be good, might be not that good, you might think. But if we compare that to that we were waiting, like staying in our waiting for checking around 60% of the time or 60% of level in the field. So in those games, on those situations that we were waiting, we got ball only on 34% of time. So actually this initiative for checking seems to be pretty good actually compared for this waiting option. And especially if you look at this amount of shots they were able to get, like 38% of time when we were waiting, it doesn't look actually that good at all. So only in this match with this data, actually it was better for us to be initiative in the game. You can also see here that when the Finnish men's team were initiative, they got the ball 64% of the time. And they were initiative like 13 or 14 times in the game. But also for them, they were also waiting much more than that. And even for them, the waiting option, while it feels safe, it's not that safe based on the analysis. Of course, there were games when the numbers were not this nice as here, but overall in the analysis, actually, when the team was initiated, this from the top 4 countries analysis, when the team was initiative, the opponent was able to get the shot on 24% of the time, or 25 around that, and when they were waiting, the opponent was able to get the shot on 29% of the time. So actually, when the team was waiting, they were able to. The opponent was able to get more shots than when they were active or initiative. This also this visualization that you will also get to see today from this women's game, PSS against TPS, and also from the men's game Classic against SPV, and during the intermissions and after the game. And you also get to see that how these numbers are in today's matches. So some things to follow in this visualization. One is the balance between the initiative and waiting for checking. Are they even, or how big difference, or is the team at all initiative? And the other thing is that you might be interested to follow is the green amount of green in the field or in the visualization, that how many times the defending the forechecking team gets the ball. I don't know too much about these women teams that are, if they are active in or initiative in the forechecking or not, but at least in the men's team, at least in history, Classic and SPV both have been quite active in the forechecking, so we might see also that in today's game as well. Okay. Thank you. I hope I was able to make this picture at least a bit more clear for you. Maybe not as this clear, but at least a little less blur. But of course, we need more game analysis and more research and more studies about the floorball game, so we know more and get the picture more clear. And remember to use the data and all you have learned today, because otherwise it has no use. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miikka. We actually have a couple of questions. Andre from Switzerland has asked about the sample size. How many games amongst the top 4 teams did you analyze, and are these the whole game or just the 5-on-5 periods? I'm guessing this refers to the earlier part of the presentation. Yeah.
It was in total 16 international games and 20 F-Liga games, and it was only on 5-on-5.
Okay, and how about the quality of the shots? Were they taken into consideration in the earlier stats you showed us?
Yeah, not directly, but indirectly, that how many passes there were before the shot and what kind of pass, if they were having super passes to the other form and such. So there was some level of that as well.
It's going to be really interesting to see, as you mentioned today, to see. In the men's game SPV against Classic, you might all have some inside information, so not to reveal that, but what do you expect from that game, from that perspective yourself, about the activeness level of this game, so to say?
I don't know. The SPV has new coach this year, but at least for our side, we are going to be at least as active as we used to be, I think.
All right. Wish you good luck for that as well, and interesting to see the stats later on. Miikka Palvalin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So.